And we're back.
We are live.
We are live. This is the prelude to the CapmLew podcast. We have not hit the magic button. I know you're all wondering. That's... You can't even... Hang on. There! That's where the magic is. That's right. The CapmLew podcast. Yeah. For what it's worth. That's where it's at. So, we're about to start the podcast. We barely know what we're doing, so this is the perfect time to just hit record and say, welcome to the CapmLew podcast. I'm your host, CapmLew, along with your co-host,
Luke. Here I am.
And for what it's worth,
Baby.
Here we are. Boy, am I ever happy today, because it's Thursday.
Yes.
We usually record on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes.
Not this week. Tuesday was gone.
It didn't even exist in your world.
In my world, it did not even exist. Because I had that particular blessing of a brief, yet pretty serious stomach flu.
Yes.
Or food poisoning.
Yes. It was bad.
Be that as it may. Maybe. I don't know what I got, but boy, oh boy, it got a hold on me.
Yes.
And yeah, I was. It had a really high fever.
Do you remember me? Do you remember sending me a picture of your puke? You sent me multiple pictures of your puke. I was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Just ding ding. It's just two pictures of a pile of your vomit sitting in the shower.
That was round one. That was round one.
Bro. Oh no.
I should have done all 3 rounds.
Yeah, that would have been beautiful.
Yeah, I spent about 4 hours in the realm of just waiting for the next load.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always a good feeling.
Oh, gracious me, but there's something grounding about a stomach flu.
Is there though?
There is, man.
Is there though?
I every time I get a stomach flu, I come out of it so grateful that I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, that is that, but that's
You're
a wonderful way to feel.
You're walking on air just because it's not what it was before.
Yes, right.
And I can't help but think that might be what it'll be like 1 second after I die.
Yeah, for sure.
That finally I will stand over this container I've been walking around in with all these appetites and everything are finally gone.
Yeah.
And all that carcass drag that I've been performing for over 30 years since I met the Savior will finally come to a glorious end.
Yes.
As I look upon my mangled former carcass drag experience and stand in the light of the new creation. I don't know yet what that will be like, but I do know that it will come.
Yes.
And I'm extremely happy to try to remember that every minute of my life.
Yeah.
And I definitely skip minutes as I mutter curses at other drivers.
Yeah.
And I tell you, there's like a lot of times in the day where I'm like, oh, I am not centered right now. I am definitely not centered on the grace that I found at the foot of the cross. I just called that other driver an MFer and meant it.
Yeah,
you know,
it came from the heart.
Where all the terrible things in a man come from.
Yes.
But oh boy, am I ever glad to be over with that stomach flu. That was a bummer.
RUFF rough, dude.
It was rough.
It's funny because whenever I text you when you're really sick, you're always like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine," and you always tell me like, "Oh, I think I'm on the up and up. I think I'm on the up and up." And then you text me that. I don't know what day was that? Maybe Tuesday. And then you just went AWOL from like 1 p.m. to like 7 p.m. And then you texted me, you're like, "I just got up from a huge nap. I'm so sick right now."
I woke up. I felt better at I got home at like 3 p.m. With the stomach flu, I had this errand that was very important to me to do. And it was a super good errand. And I had to load a bike in my trailer. I had to trailer it down to the Kenton County Courthouse.
True.
I had to coordinate with people coming out and doing a VIN inspection on the bike.
Yeah.
And then I had to take it back up to my place. Tomorrow I'm taking it to the bike shop. We're going to break into it on both sides and just make sure it's bomber for the season for my dear friend.
Yes.
And I had already stopped puking at I started puking at 3:30 in the morning.
Did it? Here, I got a quick question. Uh-huh. Did it wake you up?
Well,
Did you wake up and you're like, I gotta puke right
No.
now?
Well, I woke up and I was like, well, if I'm lucky, I'll just have to poop. But there's a certain unsettled, it's not nausea.
Yes.
I've been dragging this carcass long enough that I know
yeah.
when something ain't right.
Yeah.
You know, I could feel like my bones aching, and I was like, okay, maybe I got something, we'll see. So, you know, you go down, you know,
yeah.
and, you know, like, you pop a squat, you wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, in there, whatever, looking at Tik-Tok or watching a goob tube.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Things are moving a little too swift out the back.
Yeah.
And then you're like, was that a wave of nausea?
Yeah.
The faintest hint. The faintest hint. And then the glimmer of hope disappearing on the horizon in the sunset of you doing what you wanted to do that day.
Yes, dude. Yes. Yes.
And it only took there was this little tiny wave of nausea. And I was
dude.
Then your chops start watering up.
Yeah.
You know, when the chops water.
It's like buckling in.
This is good. This is good material.
Dude. It really is, dude.
And then chops start watering. I always do the same thing. Even if I was staying at your house, I'd do this, which is maybe one reason you won't invite me. I understand.
I respect it.
You can't just turn around into a filthy pot and put your face in there and puke.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already got something. Why get everything else?
Yeah, come on now.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So, I just went for the shower stall.
Do you turn on the shower?
No, that'll get my head all wet. You want to be on the ground, on all fours, man.
Dude, are you
gotta mean it. You gotta mean it. Like, just, you don't do this?
No, dude. This is the actions of a psychopath. I literally cannot right now, dude.
You don't do this?
Not on all fours, bro. I mean, I'll try it. I'm down.
I mean, what's the difference between being on all fours and you're just going straight for the drain? Why not go straight for the drain on all fours? You know, in one of them little shower stalls, a corner stall, you know?
Yeah, dude.
You just roll that door open. You just get down there,
right,
man.
you just mean it, dude.
And you just mean it.
Oh,
the door is locked. Nobody else is in there but
dude.
you and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And so you're just locked on.
Yes, dude.
And then whatever has to happen,
just happens.
It just happens.
Yes, dude.
And then, and it's like, it's like being beat up by someone.
It really is,
You
dude.
can't fight back.
No.
They're like inside you.
Yes, dude.
And it is absolutely, man, it's savage. You know, I broke blood vessels in my eyes, man. You know, like up here near my eyes. And I was like, wow, that was violent.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't regret the things I eat until that happens.
Yeah, yes, dude.
Voracious.
Yes.
It was. Oof-cha. That was round 1 of 3.
Yes, dude.
And I count them. You know, I count how many hurls per round, you know. That was like 5 solid hurls.
Dude.
And I knew it wasn't over.
Mm-hmm.
It never is over.
Oh, no.
I don't know what the shutoff is in my body.
I know.
But there's like, you're going to throw up, you're going to do 5 big hurls, and then your body's going to be like, okay, let's not kill him right now.
Yeah, he's got time.
Well, I noticed we have a comment from Chris Gurley down in Memphis, Tennessee, and he writes, turlet only. Too many chunks. This is where people just don't get it.
That's where step 2 comes in.
Step 2 is the post-vomitoria waffle stomp.
Oh.
It's a celebratory it's a celebration of things gone by. You turn on the shower.
Yes.
Right? I've got the kind where you take it off of there
Yeah.
and you can do this with it.
Yeah.
You turn on the shower, but if you have a solid mounted shower,
Yes.
you just let it circulate.
Yes.
You get some water flow going. When it starts to plug up on the bigger chunks, you just give it a nice press with one of your feet. All right?
Yeah, it's so brittle. Go ahead.
Is it though? Because it doesn't even smell bad at that point because all the acid is washed away.
Yeah.
All you've got is a nice forensic experience of like,
dude.
geez, I eat a lot of almonds, don't
Yeah, a
I?
lot of almonds too.
It was gritty.
Yes.
It was gritty. I eat so many almonds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you give that a good stomp down, and you rinse around some more, and you stomp it down again, and you rinse around some more, and you stomp it down again. That's because I don't want my face in a toilet.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The clawfoot tub.
Oh.
Even easier.
Oh my God.
It's even easier with a clawfoot tub. Because in the clawfoot tub, you have the wonderful, cool, nestling porcelain sensation
Yes.
on the elbows
Yes.
and the knees
Yes,
as
dude.
you just Ralph into this thing.
Yes, dude.
So
Oh my God.
sinks are right out because
we're
the
done.
sink does not have the waffle stomp
Yes.
option.
Right. You got to use a hand.
You can't hurl in a
Yeah.
sink
No.
because you can stock the trap and that means it's coming back. But man, you go from toilet to shower or toilet, then you do an army roll over the side. You're in the clawfoot tub.
Yes.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
Then you can waffle stomp on the grill, and that drain usually
Yes.
a shower drain is like 2.5-inch drain.
Yeah, it's big.
You're good to go. That'll go straight to the main stack. You're good to go.
That's so
This
funny,
is
dude.
why we hurl in toilets.
Yes.
But I'm saying, like, if you're ever like at Planet Fitness,
Oh.
which I never go to,
Yes.
but if you're ever at Planet Fitness and you're just blowing out the back end with some food poisoning,
Yes.
then you just need to zip over
Into the shower.
straight into the shower to just hurl the rest of it. You got some 65-year-old dude walking around with nothing on at all.
Yeah.
They need someone else naked in that place. Why not this guy?
Yes, dude.
But yeah,
Yes,
so
dude.
this was Stomach Flu on Tuesday. Why we didn't podcast. Yeah, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, was hurling by 3, was done hurling by about 8:30, 3 rounds, 5 to 10 pumps per shot. And
How
by the
quick were the successions? Did you get a
every
break?
hour and a half.
Okay,
So it
brutal.
resets for like an hour.
Yeah.
You feel a lot better
You
after
feel
you
amazing,
hurl.
yeah, right.
Not amazing. I could tell I was still sick, and I could tell we still had a ways to go.
Yeah, sure.
But then an hour and a half later, you're ready to go again. And by the second and third time, I'm like, all right, look, even if I don't feel like stopping, I'm going to not stop.
Yeah, right.
But do you know what the problem is?
Hmm.
Is, round 1, you've still got some stuff left in the tank you need to get rid of. So round 2 is going to be fruitful.
Yes.
Round 3, surprisingly, still has some stuff left in the tank.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Now, at different times, I've actually had water to drink on purpose
Yeah.
to avoid the dry heaves.
Yes.
But this was accompanied by a rising fever.
Yes.
And what I notice when I get a fever is I lose the ability to think about what's smart to do.
Yes, dude.
Yeah. And I just lose it. I don't know how to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting worse the older I get.
That's
Because
so
I get a
funny.
fever and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and like 10 hours later,
Yeah.
I haven't had any water to drink.
Yes. No,
I haven't taken
nothing.
any anti-fever, fever
Right.
reducers, anything.
Yes.
And we're just cooking. Well, the last fever I had was what, 103.7?
Yeah, dude.
104.2.
Yeah, it was so hot, dude.
Before this, 4.2 or 103.7 or something like that.
Yes.
And and now it's
Yeah,
okay, we're back.
Yes.
We didn't go anywhere without you, Facebook. Gallbladder went on a full revolt. Oh
Bro.
my gosh.
Bro.
Hey, I'll tell you, I am quite passionate about this topic because a stomach flu will set a lot of things right, set your mind right.
It'll set your mind right. Bro.
Yeah. So, and also it's a little project like. There's a scripture St. Peter said. He said, "The body that suffered is done with sin."
Really?
It's a good little out of context rip from the good book. And I don't know if I'm sinning or not while I'm sitting there. Probably. I could pull it off.
Yeah.
But when I'm slayed with illness, there's just a simplicity to life.
Yes.
When all your strength is gone and
Yeah.
there's nothing to do but hope in God and maybe things will get better. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. People die of stuff like that all the time.
Yeah,
all the
dude.
time, dude. But yeah, around 10 o'clock in the morning, I was done puking. 8 o'clock, I was done puking.
Yeah.
And then, but I hadn't had anything to drink since the night before. And
Yeah,
obviously, blowing out of both ends, you're not getting any water in your system. I started getting terribly, terribly thirsty. So I started sipping just the littlest bit of water,
Yeah.
thinking it was going to come. You know, I did not
Yeah.
want, because I got to the dry heave portion of our show.
Yeah, of our show. Yes.
And, yeah, once you get to the dry heave portion,
You just want it to stop, dude.
oof,
It's horrible.
it is, that's painful.
It's bad.
That's like getting punched.
It is.
And it's not good for a guy.
No.
So, you know, you can, I mean, if I hadn't already been stitched up 6 ways to Sunday, I could probably blow a hernia doing that. I
Yeah,
don't think
dude.
there's any more hernias I can blow.
They got you.
I'm sure I could prolapse my rectum. I'm sure I could.
Oh, stop, dude. Stop, dude.
Just give me time.
Stop, dude. Oh my god. Your outlook on life is so dismal. Oh my
It's
god.
not dismal, I'm
It's
laughing.
not. Oh my gosh.
Hey,
it's
man,
brutal, dude.
If you can't laugh,
dude. Oh no, dude.
Oh, man,
I
maybe-
really hope not.
maybe my sense of humor is more Soviet.
Yeah, it is, dude. It really is. You know what's funny is when I was a kid, I remember puking, and it was like, you know, you're totally out of control, and I was terrified of it. I hated it. But let me tell you this: it does not get better as you get older, in my opinion.
I think it's getting worse.
Yeah, I was sick, and I puked. Got the same deal.
What, a week ago?
It was like a month ago, probably,
month
but
ago.
it was the same kind of deal. And I was puking, and I thought to myself, this is completely insane. Like, the way that your body convulses, and like, you could definitely give yourself a hernia for sure. And I'm like, what, why? No, you know, like, please, anything but this. It was absolutely horrible. And I was puking up boiled eggs, which, brother, let me tell you that the texture on the way back out is savage, dude. Savage, dude.
You can't tell me that you didn't have just a little chew.
Yeah, accidentally, dude, just wishing it could stop. I'm like, please, somebody kill me.
I had something happen this time that I've never had happen before. It was because I had eaten a lot of almonds the day before.
Yeah.
It got stuck in my throat
Yeah.
and it burned me
Yeah, the
very badly.
acid. Yeah.
I'm fine today. It's Thursday. This happened on Tuesday. But yesterday, Wednesday, my throat was really burnt. But I had to trailer a bike.
yeah.
And
dude.
I was extremely cheerful to do it, okay?
Right.
In terms of, like, I knew that I definitely wanted to, and as long as I wasn't actively puking or shitting,
Yeah, right.
I was
Shitting.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
But I got to, like, 10 o'clock, and I was like, okay. So I went to bed from 10 until about 1:30.
Yeah.
And I was out, and, like, I have this down, it was cold.
Yeah.
I was so cold, right? I was
Yeah.
shivering with cold, and I knew I had a big fever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dude, I'm so cold. And I, like, was trying to get warm, and I was like, I'll go up, and I'll get under this down comforter.
Yeah.
That thing is warm.
Yes.
And so I got on our bed with a down comforter, and I had one arm out.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sleeping so deep.
Yeah.
And I probably wasn't almost sleeping at all.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
was like so warm. And all I was thinking was, I'm warm. But my arm
It's cold.
was so cold.
Yes.
My
dude.
one arm was so
Yeah.
cold, but the
Yeah.
rest of me was almost too hot.
Yeah.
But not too hot.
Yeah, like
And
that.
so I
nice,
did
yeah.
that until 1:30. And I woke up at 1:30 and I dragged ass out there and I loaded up the bike,
Yeah.
strapped it down,
Yeah.
safety check,
Yeah.
check the hitch, check
Right.
it again, check
Yeah.
everything twice, and I was banging into everything
Yeah, right.
because I
Just
didn't
bumping
have
into
I didn't have any balance.
stuff. Yeah.
And then when I went off balance, I hit everything really hard, and I wasn't tensed up or anything.
Yeah.
Everything hurt.
Yeah, it's so painful, dude.
Oh,
Golly.
I know. I'm having the best time saying this because I know that almost everyone who's over the age of 35
Yes.
has been through it.
Yes.
And I was just cussing up a storm.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I was just resistance down.
Imagine, yes.
I was cussing up a storm.
Yeah.
And I was just like sorry lording my way through this whole thing. And I got on the road and I was like, I'm probably good.
Yeah. Yeah, question mark.
So I'm like driving, and like every time I trailer a bike, I'm always like, I know I put like 6 straps on this, and I know I strapped it down the correct way.
Yes.
But at the same time, I know that bike is just gonna flip over.
Yes, dude. Yes.
You know it will be upside down.
Of course.
When you get there.
Yes.
So every little bump on the road, every single thing, I was just like, oh. Plus, my trailer is not properly wired. All I have are magnetic tail lights on the bottom of the back.
Yeah.
It's not nighttime legal.
Yeah.
It's licensed, but I've got to rewire this trailer and get it, you know.
Right.
And so I'm like driving down, and I'm just like on the edge. Plus, the transmission in my truck it's fine.
In a self-destruct sequence.
It
slowly
is.
initiating self-destruct.
It's fine.
Yes.
You know, God will take care of me. It's
Indeed.
fine.
So
you know, I've been through it with that.
Yeah.
So I'm driving down there, but I'm low resistance, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I get down to Kenton County Courthouse. Had some trouble getting the direction because there's like 16 different addresses for that.
Mm-hmm.
And but with the help of my friend who was down there, found it. It was no problem. I was just one road off, and then just a quick jaunt over, and I was there. Pulled into the parking lot, got in a good spot. They came out, they did the VIN inspection, everything checked through. He got his plates, he got his title. Yes. Everything's cool. They get back on the highway, no problem, straight shot, got home, parked the trailer, no disasters, and got back in the house. By 4 o'clock, I was back in my bed.
Yeah.
And I slept, and I woke up at 8. That's what I knew when I woke up, because I picked up my phone and I touched it, and it said 8.
Oh boy.
And I thought, oh my gosh, 8 o'clock.
4 hours, dude.
I thought, 8 o'clock? I went to bed at 4 o'clock. That's 16 hours. Is it Thursday?
Yeah, like what's happening?
Is it Wednesday?
Yeah, like where am I?
Is it Friday? What day is it?
Yes, dude.
And I didn't have the wherewithal, because I was fever-addled.
Yes.
To like know what day it was.
Of course.
So I go downstairs because I can't understand my phone.
Yes.
This is what fevers do to me.
No, it literally is.
And it was all right there, dude.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours, bro.
Yeah.
But as I'm going down the stairs, I get out of the bed and I'm like, it's dark out. It's dark out. It must be so cloudy this morning.
Yes, dude.
It's been light at like 6 o'clock. Why is it dark at 8 now?
Yeah, dude.
You know?
Yeah, having like a full crisis.
And I'm like,
Dude.
no, I'm not upset. This is the nice thing that the fever also does to me. I'm very amenable.
Yeah, you just
to
chill.
things that aren't whacking my leg on the foot pegs of a bike.
Yes, of course,
know?
right.
And I'm like, because like when I was loading the bike at one point, I lost it, because I didn't have the leg strength, you know? I lost it, so I had to double hand on the one side to keep it off the ground.
Of course.
And then haul it over to the center.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah, dude.
So I woke up at 8. It was PM. It was 4 hours, but I believed I had slept for 16 hours straight.
Yes.
Came down. Family is sitting watching a television show, and I'm like, guys, what day is it?
Right. Yes, dude.
The nice thing about family is they're there for you, but they're also a little over you.
Yes. Yes, dude.
And so they're like, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So I was up for, I don't know, another hour or two, and I went back to bed for another 9 hours. And then the next day was what, yesterday? Yeah. I don't know. It was Wednesday. Wednesday was the next day. I was all focused on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
And then on Wednesday, I woke up, and I'm like, I'm all better.
Yeah.
That wasn't true.
Dude.
What did I even do yesterday?
I don't know.
I had a meeting at the office.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am a project manager for Solution Roofing.
Yes.
And I had a meeting. It was our GAF rep came in and did a presentation, and so I headed out early to get to the meeting on my dresser.
Yes.
And I was so happy to be just not puking, and shidding and waffle stomping in the shower.
Yes.
The puke.
Yes.
So you go, from the shitter to the waffle stomp with the puke.
Of course.
And then you rinse it all down.
Yes.
And get clean,
yes.
And then you go round 2, round 3, then you sleep, then you move a motorcycle.
Yes.
And then you go back to bed and you wake up and you think it's 2 days later, it's not, and then you wake up the next day and you think that you're fine. And so you basically I just chilled. I sheltered in place.
Yeah, you were basically in a time warp.
And then I think I took a nap.
Yeah.
And then I woke up to go to the sales meeting, and I was pretty good. I really enjoyed being out on the bike.
Yes.
70 degrees.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Ohio, 70 degrees, February 22nd. Not rare. That is a fairly normal occurrence for our little pocket of the Ohio River Valley.
Yeah.
Your sinuses will not thank you for living here if you're one of those kids, but it is oft balmy.
Yes.
So
fall spring,
yeah, but it might not be. I mean, we're already in the 20s of February. When it kicks into March, you're in the 40s or your lows.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like 40 tomorrow.
And then you have you get an April snow shower, and then it's 65 the next day. Yeah. I like where I live.
Absolutely.
I've looked at living in a lot of other places. I will move wherever the Lord has me to go, as far as I can figure that out, which is fine. Yes. But yeah, that was Tuesday. I think it was a banner day.
Yeah, dude.
I do. I think it was a banner day. It was a good practice run.
Yeah.
For when you get really old.
Yes.
And every day is like that.
Yes.
Because that happens to people, and there's people who aren't even really old, and they're going through chemo and things like that, and it's not rare on the planet. So
it's fun to learn how you communicate in those times, because I'm finally getting you pegged down. You just can't be trusted. You can't be trusted.
You gotta look after Grandpa.
Yeah, dude. When you had COVID or whatever, you were texting me all day. I was like, dude, how are you? And you're like, my fever's at 102. I think I'm okay. And then in an hour, you're like, my fever's at 103.2. And I was like, hey man, you should probably take some ibuprofen. And you're like, no dude, I really think I'm fine. And in my mind, you're communicating like a rational person and thinking like a rational person, but that is not happening at all, dude. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm at 103.5. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna leave work. You need to take ibuprofen. And you were on this tip no, ibuprofen is bad. I don't want to hurt my stomach or something. And I'm like, bro, I've seen you smash 4 ibuprofen so many times. Of all the times, this is the time. It's so funny, dude.
3's my max.
Yeah, 3.
3's my max in the dose.
I'm like, dude, you could take 4 right now and it would be fine. You got to get this fever down, dog.
Tear the lining off your stomach.
It's so funny, dude. You just had it in your head. You're like, no. Was that the time you passed out peeing in the bathroom? Did that happen that time?
Maybe.
It's hard to tell. I can neither confirm nor deny.
I don't remember doing that.
I think you did, dude.
I'm sure I did.
I think you did.
I know that one time I passed out from sheer pain. That's happened twice.
Yeah, that's
the first time I passed out from sheer pain, I had 3 or 4 rib breaks.
Yeah.
I had taken a slam on a half pipe with my elbow tucked.
Yeah.
And I broke them on the front side and on the back side. So I had all that intercostal tearing, all the broken ribs. My chest is still square because I broke 3 ribs in 2 places or 2 ribs in 2 places. It was bad.
Yeah.
And that was the 4th time I'd broken my ribs. So I don't care, And so I asked my doctor, I was like, can I still skate though? I don't want to fall down again and my ribs to shatter and pierce my lungs, and then you've got lung infections and blood coughing and all this hoo-ha, and I don't want to go through all the red tape.
Yeah.
And my doctor was super cool, and he was like, nah, you're good. You'd have to get hit by a car for your ribs to do that.
Jeez.
Even if they're already cracked, they're not going to do that. I thought that is so cool, the human body.
Yeah.
So I carcass dragged myself I broke them in the spring, and I carcass dragged all the way through into the middle of the summer with so much broken ribs. And in the beginning,
dude,
if you watch me skate,
bro,
people are like, oh, you're so stylish.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, no, that's a guy who has learned to skate with
broken
ribs so many times.
Yes, dude.
So many times.
Yes.
I've gotten broken ribs, and so I skate in this kind of stance, kind of hunchy stance, because when I fell with those multiple breaks, the other times I broke ribs, it hurt when I fell.
Yeah.
But I fell twice during that time, and I learned the meaning of what it means when they say to see stars.
Yeah.
I literally, everything went, I fell and everything went black.
Yeah.
Everything went completely black.
Yes.
And there were little pinpoints of
Ding,
light.
ding, 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 ding.
And literally in the moment, the pain was exquisite.
Yes.
It was absolutely a pure experience of pain.
Yes.
Flooded my mind, took over my system.
Yes.
And I came to,
Yes, right.
I came to, and I was like, oh, that's what they mean by sisters.
Yeah. Yes.
And I only took ibuprofen basically to sleep.
Bro.
And because you want it to work when you need it the most, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the one time. It's actually twice.
Yeah.
And then the second time that I passed out from pain was I had just had double hernia surgeries. So that's 8 inches of very low abdominal incision.
Yeah.
And then they pull all the muscles apart, get to your pelvis, and stitch hard to your pelvis. This doesn't count times I've just been knocked out.
Yes.
I bet that's fine.
Yes.
But so this was majorly disruptive abdominal repair, right?
Yes.
And these weren't the easy hernias where they just you got a little boop, between your muscles.
Yeah.
This is really low hernias, and so they had stitched me up hardcore. And after the surgery, they send me home, and of course, somehow I missed a dose of the pain pills the first day.
Yes, of course.
And it's like I got into a knife fight and lost, except I didn't have the luxury of being dead. And I had to get to the bathroom.
Yes.
I can't remember why. I don't know if it was to poo or to pee.
Yeah.
I had to get to the bathroom, and I didn't realize how badly I got out of my chair in this huge struggle.
Yes.
And I was like, I think I had to pee really bad.
Sure.
And I'm like, I stood up, I got out of the chair, and I realized, I can't get back in that chair.
Yeah, we're done.
So I'm just going to get to the bathroom.
Yeah, right.
And I got to, only these little micro steps, maybe 10 micro steps, which is 2 strides.
Yes.
And then I just wound up on the floor of the house, just laughing.
Yeah.
Just laughing my ass off.
Yes,
at
cackling.
how
Yes.
painful
this
was.
Oh my gosh.
It was so painful. Because you're not dying.
No, it's just
I'm
so
not.
bad.
It's not. I'm not dying. I but you're like the pain was so bad,
dude.
It
So
was
rough.
so bad, dude.
So rough, dude.
Oh man.
So rough.
Oh man, it was.
So rough.
It was. And you're like, I literally in these experiences, I'm like, this is very pure.
Yeah, this is it, baby.
Very pure.
Yes.
Like when we get down to the end of the run, it's probably gonna be something like this.
Yes, dude.
You
yes.
know?
Right.
And so I made it back to my chair. Someone came. Someone took care of me.
Yes.
I stayed in that chair for days. I had to get up and take walks. That was, I don't know, guys. I draw on these experiences more than I draw on the victories in life that are gold medal. I have a big value for when you when you win, you win.
Yeah.
When you lose, you learn.
Sure.
And I have a big value for that. I'm not like a milksop underdog, automatically root for the underdog guy. I don't pick teams based on who's weakest or like that. It's not me. But I really value what happens inside the deeper me who's dragging this carcass around.
Right.
And I just feel like it feeds into the hope that lies beyond the veil.
Sure.
And because this is, look, the best life in this world that we can hope for is hobbled by weakness and grief at the end.
Yeah.
This is just true.
Yeah.
It's just true.
Yes.
It's starkly evident.
Yeah.
But we work very hard to ignore this, which is, I think it would be good for everyone to give a consideration to go and hang out with some hospice people. If, if we were, since we don't have, oh, crap. Did you make a PayPal?
No, but I will.
Okay.
Sorry.
We were contacted by someone that wanted us to make a PayPal so that they could sponsor us.
Sponkers.
And send us a sponsorship. They earmarked the funds, though. They want me and Luke to go and share a good meal with the sponsorship.
Yes.
Which, actually, we kicked off this podcast with a nice meal.
Yeah.
We had, like, steak or something. Mushrooms. Remember? We went to, like, Deshays.
Remember when that was so weird, dude. I do recall that.
It was a beautiful, warm day in the October.
Yeah, or something.
It was stormy.
I actually do recall that. Yeah.
We went to Deshays. Is probably not a good restaurant.
Yeah, it's like
a
step above TGI Fridays. Or
yes,
something.
it's like a highbrow TGI.
Yeah, like older people in suits maybe are there, but also like less old people who are drunk.
Well, we were there.
Yeah, I mean, we were there. We were definitely out of place.
We enjoyed something good. I remember I had some sort of stuffed mushroom type of deal.
Oh, that's what you had.
Cheeses.
Yeah, we had like, what's that French dish where it's like mushrooms flipped upside down full of cheese and things?
Stuffed ass mushrooms.
That's what it is. It's a French name, technical name.
I don't
Stuffed
know.
ass mushrooms.
We
yes.
had some of those and something else. Maybe we only had appetizers.
No, we had a meal.
Good.
Yeah, we had
We
a meal.
should have.
Yes, we did.
We did. We don't have any money.
Yeah.
But we were like, you know what? We're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And we're going to eat together because
Yes.
we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, it was nice.
This is what we're doing.
Yes.
And so we're doing that too.
Yeah,
And we went to a restaurant that was ridiculously out of my present league.
Yes.
And we enjoyed the hope of the fruits of our labors.
Yes, right. We invested.
We're idiots.
It was true.
But
it is true.
Presently not in Cleveland.
Yeah, presently not in Cleveland, unfortunately. Oh, beautiful Cleveland.
Yeah, so we didn't record on Tuesday. So we're doing...
Here we are.
We're hoping to snag a double episode today. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think we might only get a single in today.
That's fine. Yeah.
But I considered doing a solo cast,
Mm-hmm.
and then I thought, I don't like it. I don't like casting without Luke.
Yeah.
And
I like doing it together.
then I thought we could maybe put some in the pocket.
Yeah.
That are like non-dated, maybe specific topic
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
That we could keep in our back pocket for sick days. We did that before. We cast it out while I was in New York. That was good.
That was flawless.
I do think it was flawless.
Yeah, finally something worked one time.
I do think it was in your opinion.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. M-ho.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad I'm glad you didn't die. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Well, I caught a good piece of media while I was in my
Stupor.
torpor.
Torpor.
Yeah.
Is that an actual word?
Yeah.
Ah, is that T-U-P-O-R?
Torpor. Torpor.
Torpor.
Torpor.
That's it. I'm looking it up.
Good. Do it.
It's not that I don't believe you. I'm just
It's the
interested.
foggy slowness of a compromised mind.
A state of physical or mental inactivity. Lethargy.
Torpor.
Lethargy.
You can do lethargy.
Lethargy. Lethargy. Whatever it is. English is dumb.
Skip chargy.
Skip chargy.
That's from Dogtown Z-Boys.
Yes.
Actually, it's not in Dogtown Z-Boys, but it's what we took from it.
Yeah, it's
we were yelling skip chargy all the time.
Skip chargy. What was the piece of media?
It was a Stacey Peralta interview.
Yes.
You try and put these in the description.
Yeah.
Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I got it right here.
It was a Stacey Peralta interview. I actually listened to it today while I was project managing.
Prime Ministry.
3 roofs at a time.
Let's go.
All scheduled within 5 miles of each other. I was zippity-bibbity bopping with my transmission truck between 3 different roof jobs today.
Yes.
Trying to really pay attention to everyone and make sure everyone had everything, and we pulled it off
Nice.
to the last drop because we pulled in some help.
Yeah, that's fine.
So today we prioritized this tight pack of roofs, and we pulled off 3 amazing roof jobs today, and I had a really, really good day. But without help from my friends, it would have been... The only problem I would have had today that I really appreciated the help with was that my Suburban can't do 4x8 sheet lumber, except it's...
Like an active concrete.
It does fit it.
Yeah, but
it does, but it's
price, dude.
We had to get 18 sheets of 4x8 OSB.
Yeah.
So no, thank you. So the boys went and grabbed the OSB, took it, and while they were able to do that, it made they were able to pick up some other stuff, and it made me able to pay attention to developments on the ground.
Yeah.
So it was a memorable day of roofing that one day I will refer back to in the future.
Yes.
But I was treated to this delightful piece. What's the name of the YouTube channel that this is on?
Rad Season.
Rad Season.
Doesn't look like they have very many.
Hosted an interview with Stacey Peralta.
Yes.
And I just wanted to take one tiny piece of it and just speak to it.
Yeah.
Because Stacey had a lot of really good things. I've always wondered in what way did Stacey Peralta and George Powell, how was that not eye to eye to where Stacey wound up leaving and it became Powell?
Yeah.
And it was Powell Skateboards, and then it was, and George is not like known as a skater beyond some sidewalk surfing.
Sure.
And boy, has he gotten a rough treatment over the years. People just don't say the nicest things about George, but I have to say his work stands the test of time. I mean, American institution, Powell Skateboards has been pressed in the United States since day one.
Yeah, that's sick.
And he didn't even go aggressive with any of that.
Yeah.
When I started making skateboards, I made a big deal about, at first I was buying from a Pennsylvania outfit, and I was very proudly made in the USA. I mean, that's all I cared about, was something that's made with quality, close to us, brings better accountability, better service to the customer. George has been doing it forever. I'm not a fan of his dimensionals, his pocketing, his kicks, and things like that. But darn it, his planks have always been strong.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Every time I've ever skated one, I got used to it.
Yeah.
I got used to it, and I had fun on it.
Yeah.
They were beyond functional. They were durable. They were good. They were strong.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Totally.
Always have.
Yeah.
And so Stacey and George separated, and he shed some light on that. And obviously it was relatively amicable and professional in that way that probably only California can pull off.
Right.
And Stacey went on with a career in television and film stuff.
Right.
And then it was in 2000 when he did the Dogtown. So Sony was doing the Dogtown movie, Lords of Dogtown,
right,
based on an article that came out in, I can't remember which magazine,
something,
Spin magazine.
Oh,
I think it was Spin.
Sure.
And so the movie got pitched, and then Stacey was like, "I'll do the documentary."
Yeah.
And his documentary was absolutely life-changing for droves of older skateboarders.
Yeah.
I hadn't stopped skateboarding. I was still pushing around, always my own way. I never went anyone else's way. So I wasn't on the, I don't know how to say it without reflecting poorly on anyone, but I didn't jump on the rail gap train.
Yeah.
I stayed a relatively big board.
Yeah.
Just cruiser front side grind, roll out, roll in on vert guy.
Yeah.
And was just going my own way with my skateboard.
Yeah.
Not even thinking about impressing anyone or making the team or any of that. Skateboarding became about making the team to a huge extent. You couldn't be. A lot of gatekeeping, a lot of authenticity verification, all that stuff.
Yeah.
What is it called? Two-factor?
Two-factor.
A lot of two-factor verification going on.
Right. We're gonna have to see your shoes and your hat.
Yeah, we need to see what brand of pants, what shoe, and what deck brand you're wearing.
Yes.
Better be zero.
Yes.
You know,
right.
or a BAM logo.
Yes. Exactly.
And we're gonna need to see you do
one kickflip, please.
I need to see you need to rail side that 70s stair will take you out from Benny Hannes.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Don't you know there's a war outside of your window? Anyway, so
thank you, Jason Lee.
So I was listening to this, and Stacey shed some light on that, but the thing that really stuck with me was he said that at the time that skateboarding gave these guys a way to be an outlaw that didn't hurt anyone.
You know, I actually appreciate that a lot.
It was deep.
Yeah,
I thought it was really deep.
I actually really appreciate that. What were your thoughts besides it was deep? Did you agree?
Yeah, and it kind of unlocked another level for me.
Yeah.
Of appreciation.
Absolutely.
Where, you know, like, I do think that is a really, you know, because skateboarding, when I was doing it, and Stacey spent time talking about how there was I think it was the 60s or late 60s or 70s or whenever, I don't know if it was even the 50s, but I think it was the 60s that they literally had like groups coming out and saying, don't let your children play with skateboards publicly.
Yeah. Right.
This is the most news pieces on this is the most dangerous fad. It's going to break all of your children's arms and fingers and elbows and both of their legs, you know.
Right.
And
and brain and
that your children will
play backwards.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And they like the society vilified skateboarding. So just the act of riding a skateboard, even in the 80s, was really frowned upon in rural America. I know a lot of our listeners
Yes.
I know that a few of our very few listeners will be able to relate to you know, being really odd man out, which was Steve Caballero's band's name. You know, choosing the skateboard was choosing a whole other, like, you were out. Yeah. You were off of the standard rat race stuff. And that was a powerful thing to me that, like, I don't like the way that the football team and the wrestling team and the basketball team and the baseball team treat people. Yeah. I don't like the varsity leather jacket culture. I don't like any of that. Right. I really liked, because when I was young, skateboarding had a little bit of everyone in it. Yeah. And everyone was trying to ride their skateboard. Yeah. And we were trying tricks and we were watching, and he went into detail about how they actually made the first Bones video. Oh, very cool. Bones Brigade video, which I think it was Future Primitive. Okay. And there was a guy who said, I'll make a 20-minute video for $5,000. And the first day of shooting, he had an acting part come up and he couldn't do it. So pack of preppies riding around in Jeeps looking for skaters to beat up. We had a few preppies riding skateboards with us and those guys. Yes. And we had bottles thrown at us. I had a guy going 60 miles an hour and open his car door to try and hit me. We had all of it. Jeez, that's intense. All of it, dude. Really hurt somebody. All of it. I got thrown downstairs. Yeah. I got beaten. Oh my goodness. I was beaten so badly one time. Unbelievable that I survived. For being a skateboarder? That one was for being different, which I will lump into the category. Yeah, sure. Yeah, just for being different. I'll allow it. Yeah. But that sucked. Yeah. That really sucked. How old were you? I was in 8th grade. I was probably 13. How old were the guys who... the guy was probably 16 or 17. Okay. And he darn near almost beat me to death. Jeepers creepers. Yeah. Now, we've all got checklists. We could start going through 80s skaters. Yeah. And, chased, and this is back before security cameras. It's back before all kinds of stuff, and we used to play hide and seek with the security guards,
Of course,
and
yeah.
the cops, and we got. Are they? I mean, it's what happened.
Yeah. It is
You know,
what it is.
I don't look at it with misty-eyed nostalgia. It just is what happened.
Right.
But what I loved that picking up the skateboard was an act of, it was like you were defining yourself on a different basis entirely than the society around you. It was not revolutionary because you weren't going to win.
Sure.
And you weren't going to take over.
Right.
You were kind of opting out. You were like, yeah, I'm going to waste my time playing with this thing because check this out. And then throw a big frontside grind, Dave Hackett style, on a 4-foot quarter pipe and pretend you're Dave Hackett.
Of course, yeah.
And I think that that's a good day.
Yeah.
That's just a good day. And I've been doing that for 85, 86, 87.
Are we gonna do it one at a time? 2000 is 15, and plus 23 years. So 15 plus 23 is 38.
38 years? Is this real?
I think so, dude.
38
I'm not saying the math
years.
checks out. I'm just saying
38 years.
that's
And
a long time.
I did get married in 1992.
Yeah.
But I was back on.
Yes.
In late 92 I went off.
Yeah.
And then I was back on in 96. So that's less than 3 years by my count.
So let's just call it a clean 35.
Yeah.
That's nuts, dude. That's a
Yeah.
long time.
A clean 35, but I don't even count that because the whole time that I wasn't riding skateboards regularly,
Yeah.
I was looking at the world through that lens.
Sure.
And I wasn't really wanting to get like back into it because I was doing good stuff.
Yeah.
But I was still that guy.
Yeah.
And it came back to get me. Do you know what we're doing right now? We've just gotten the honored guest.
The honored guest.
Honored guest. Great
Bronco.
great statesman
Statesman.
Rocco has come to join us. There he is. All right.
Good boy.
There's Rocco.
Good boy.
He's come up here to be part of the video feed.
Oh, he's little.
He's so nice.
You're so nice.
You're such a good boy, Rocco. I love you.
Aw.
Rocco's going to be 13 this year.
You old.
He is an old boy.
Look at him.
He's so sweet.
Aw.
I'm glad that we got this time to put him in the camera. He's a sweet boy.
You're a good boy.
He's got old dog personality. He doesn't have he doesn't have the same young boldness that he used to have. He doesn't have it.
He lost his
He
fire.
does still like to lick. All right, boyo. Let's get you down. All right, good boy.
Good flying. I don't like it.
Good job, Rocco.
Good boy.
He
Good
is
boys.
he is a sweet kid.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You said Stacey said skateboarding allowed you to be an outlaw without hurting anyone. That was the deal.
Yeah, because so you got some yellow curbs in a parking lot. And,
Yeah.
And now they're all scratched up. I mean,
Yeah.
this happened just a few years ago here in Cincinnati. There's a park, and they redid the parking lot.
Yes.
And they put in these nice new curbs, and of course the skaters started waxing them up. And
Yeah,
the guy who does maintenance at the park went ballistic.
Dude, come on, man.
Ballistic about the curb skating.
Sure.
And I thought, yeah, it's true. Someone could cause an accident, but everyone's supposed to be going 10 miles an hour anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like you get where
come on, man.
it's like I tend to be really conservative about breaking laws. Like, I'm sensitive about sidewalks
Yes.
because grannies walk on the sidewalk. Don't break granny's ankle when she steps out of the weed store.
Yeah.
And you hit her on your skateboard and you break all of her ribs and ankles and vertebrae and everything. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, come on.
So don't be a dummy.
Yeah.
But if you're like skating a curb and you're putting scratches on it, I mean, come on, society.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I do.
I kind of wonder, because obviously that culture has changed over time, and I wonder if that isn't part of the reason why street skating is such a huge part of skateboarding now, which is something I almost never do, because I wonder if the cool guys think that, you know, going to a park and skateboarding is less. They see it as maybe less core or less less what they want to do, because part of what they want to do is be an outlaw.
Is the thrill of outlaw living.
Yeah, right.
I think there's a draw to that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between, all right, I'm not sure, but like outlaw and criminal.
Yeah.
Sometimes in order to do what's morally right,
yeah,
you wind up having to break a rule. And if you're willing to pay the consequence for breaking the rule, then that's noble. That's noble.
Yeah, that's actually that's an interesting topic.
That's the noble outlaw. The noble outlaw. There was just a country song, called "Wait in the Truck."
Is it really called that?
Yeah, it's actually quite good.
Okay.
The video for it is compelling.
Okay.
And this country song portrays a man who, obviously there's backstory, there's a whole community experience behind it, but he comes upon a lady, she's in the pouring rain, she's walking on the side of the road, he opens up his door, says, get in here out of the rain. She is beaten and bruised like almost to death.
Oh my gosh.
He knows exactly what's gone on. He heads straight to her house, finds her husband, and he slays her husband.
Okay, like kills him?
Because he knows she's going to go back to him.
Yes.
And he knows that next time he's going to finish the job, and he's going to kill this dear woman. And there's obviously backstory and history embedded in this.
Yes.
And so this is so compelling. And then he just gets the guy's pack of cigarettes and waits on the porch for the cops to come and take him.
Yeah, he's
and
fine.
He goes to jail for the rest of his life. And he's so at peace with giving away his freedom to save her life, and it puts this noble outlaw thing right in our faces. I don't know who it's by. Can you Google who that's by? Wait in the Truck. It's a country song.
But I can get it on Spotify.
Yeah.
Where we are currently located.
It is. It's a really, really compelling song, and you know, there's a lot of things that I'm not saying when I say that, but it's very compelling. And now, skateboarding is not the noble outlaw. It's more of like a hedonistic child outlaw. There's not a noble. Some people in skateboarding have gotten real serious about it, which I'm like, it's a wooden toy. And the nice thing about skateboarding is you can go and do it somewhere else too. And getting kicked out of Everywhere is a great title for one of the epic skateboarding films. And there's a certain like sense of camaraderie and fraternity that we get from being kicked out of Everywhere. Yeah. And finding, do you find it yet?
Yeah, it's by Hardy, all capitals, Hardy, and Lainey Wilson.
Lainey Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She's the singer.
Okay. Oh,
she's the other singer. It's a Hardy and Lainey Wilson. It's a duet, yeah. Nice. And it's very compelling. But
I wish skateboarding had more opportunity for this noble outlaw deal.
Well, you know,
I guess one of the
problems is that skateboarding has been a breeding ground for some extremely bad behavior, because it's this hedonistic, self-entitled, I get to do this when I want to, and I'm being persecuted, like that. Right. You know, the stacks and stacks of footage that we have of guys mouthing off to authority. Yeah. You know, and I'm not very patient with that nonsense, because I know how fast things can go from 0 to 100, and you can wind up at best in the back of a squad car.
Dude, yeah.
You know.
Yes.
But sometimes you get in the back of a squad car and you are in for a rough ride. Yes. You do not want to fall into the hands of Johnny Law. Yeah. That's nothing to joke about.
Absolutely.
And I'm more like, look, man, if you're kicked out of one place, go to another. Yeah. Just keep going though.
Right.
And also, maybe be smart.
Yeah.
Like maybe sneak better.
Yeah, or something, anything. Yeah. I know, dude. I know. I think part of the reason it's so blatant is because those guys like the battle. They like the legitimacy that they feel like comes from having these altercations. Dude, and sometimes they are like shoving those guys. I mean, sometimes it's really intense, like on the bleeding edge of assault, which is so gnarly.
I've watched chargeable offense assault happen over, like some guy takes my skateboard which is ironic when you're watching guys who are sponsored skateboarders snagging their board away from the skateboard. You just leave it.
Yeah, bro, you got more.
Try and tell me you don't have another setup. And I actually am sponsored with wood from Life Skateboards.
Yes.
And I have another one in the truck.
Yeah, you got like 5 in the truck.
Sick. I have
Now
got like
7.
6 more in the truck.
Yeah, right.
I have the
literally.
quiver
Yeah.
in the truck.
Right. Yeah.
And I am not going to assault another human being over my right to play.
Yeah.
That's petty.
Yeah.
That's immature, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I still liked what Stacey said.
Yeah.
Because the 70s and the 80s did not, it was like, there was almost no fun to be had outside of trespassing on someone else's land. I mean, seriously, all the dirt jumps and everything like that were on all these places, you know, like, almost all the fun we had was out in forts that we built in the woods that weren't our woods.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and
right.
And I mean, geez, we really were kicked out of the house all day long. Like, you weren't supposed to be inside the house.
Right.
It was a principle that a lot of us grew up with.
Right.
And I lived in the country.
Yeah.
I lived in the country about 50 minutes outside New York City. I could get to New York City in, well, if I drove straight in, I could be in New York City within an hour easily. Yes, I could be in the city within an hour, especially if you counted the edge of the city as the city. You know, one of the boroughs. I could be in a borough within an hour.
Sure.
I could be in, if I drove for 25 minutes, got on a train for 20 minutes, I could be in Grand Central Station.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like right there.
Yeah, maybe it was like drive for half an hour and be on a train for an hour, but it was like an hour to the city.
Sure.
But I didn't like to go to the city because that was wild in the 80s. The city was wild. There was garbage stacked.
Yeah.
It was
like intense, dude.
It was actually dangerous.
Yeah.
And I knew that I didn't want to put my parents through what was most likely going to happen if I spent my time. Yeah. So I only went to the city a few times, and definitely without permission.
Yes, of course.
Because I was a kid.
What do you think? What do you think changed? You know, because I don't think.
Well, times changed.
Yeah.
Things have gotten more dense, population-wise.
Right. I mean, in relationship to what Stacey said about skateboarding in the 70s and 80s, and now.
I think the 90s in skateboarding, the 90s really saw the rise of this very childish, self-entitled. Kind of vibe in skateboarding.
Yeah.
Very, very like, look what I can do, footy pajama type of thing.
Footy pajama, yeah.
Look, I don't intend any disrespect, but I don't respect that.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to be a person.
Yeah.
You know, get your stuff straight with the Almighty.
Yeah.
Get your head squared away.
Yeah.
Have a work ethic. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about respectable qualities.
Yeah.
Doing tricks on your little wooden widget is not the basis by which I'm going to respect you.
Yeah.
Outside of the fact that the Son of Man died for you and died for me, and I don't step to defying that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a respecter of persons based on, you know, footy pajama, look what I can do. You know, that is some Saturday. That's not cool. Let's see what that did to our podcast. Okay, so my alarm went off because I guess it's time for me to go somewhere.
Yes.
And
is it
so the podcast just paused. That's funny. Yesterday it was time for me to go somewhere.
Oh, hilarious. Okay.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
No, that might have been my alarm for this morning that I set while I had a fever.
Yes, for people.
Because I needed to get up at
at
5:00 and 5:30 in the morning, and this morning I was up at 4:30.
Yeah, you'll have that.
Dude, it was pleasant. I don't mind it.
No, I get up at 4:30 3 times a week, and it's like a nice deal.
I don't even feel bad. This thing's processing, so we're gonna let that catch up before we continue.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't mind it.
I mean, it's pretty hilarious that happens that way.
We have a good gig, man.
It is.
We're making a podcast.
I know. Look at us go.
I did. It's good. We can just keep going.
We're just gonna hit the keep going.
Just
button.
like when the Facebook wigged out, and of course Facebook winds up on YouTube.
Yes.
There we go. And then we had a little bit of a little bit of a technical glitch, and we just came
fine.
right back.
Yeah, we're
Right
re-engaged.
back at it.
Yes.
We didn't miss a thing. We're starting to get used to them. Turns out that if everything from a notification to a phone call to an alarm to a this to a that will stop the Podbean.
Yes.
And it is eminently stoppable.
Yeah, we should just move to cassette tapes that we send out monthly. That would actually be so sick. That would honestly be so cool.
You know what?
And then we'll videotape on VHS.
The monthly cassette tape club
Yes, dude.
might be an idea we'll do.
That's actually would be really cool.
That we'd like to ask all 5 of our listeners
Yes.
to subscribe to our channel on Podbean
Yes.
for donations, fund us up, and we can't promise it today, but if we get any feedback at all,
Yes. Do some cassette tapes, dog.
like get some 60-minute,
Yeah, like 60-minute cassette
sides.
tapes. Yes, dude.
These are cassette tapes
Yes.
that are not on the podcast.
Oh, that would actually be really
Oh
cool.
yeah, no, these are not on the podcast.
Right.
These are special cassette tapes. They might include. Could we do music?
I bet we could. I wonder if you could buy like a Walkman off Amazon. Like, I wonder
You
if they're
can.
still retail.
No, you can still buy those things. But
Yes.
here's the thing: if we are donation funded,
Yes, which we are.
all right. So we're donation funded.
Yeah.
Can I play a song, a cover song,
Oh.
and put that onto a cassette?
I bet that if somebody really wanted to, they could nail you with copyright. But who's gonna want to?
Well, we have to make. You know what? You can't get blood from a stone.
That's true. And you can't kill a dead man. Yeah, you can't kill me. I'm already dead.
All
bro.
I am is one of those wood blocks that you store knives in.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. It's so sad.
Just leave it in my back till later.
It's fine. I'll get it later. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm actually really interested because and how and why it changed. Because
It did change.
It's not like that
did.
anymore. When you pick up a skateboard, it's not like you're now in this outlaw culture. You're actually in like kind of a
It's
cucky, douchey,
it's
like
it's.
you
I
know?
will say this before we attack the culture of skateboarding, which we will do.
yeah. Just wait.
There definitely has been a very strict gatekeeping of the culture in skateboarding, and many people have made arguments in support of gatekeeping,
Yeah.
which I think is important to do.
I'm not totally against. You know, it's not like I'm totally anti-gatekeeping at all times, no matter what. I'm down for a regulation. I mean, to some extent, you could construe the arguments that we've made on this podcast.
I've been a regulator for a long time, but
Yeah.
I just don't regulate what people expect.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like talk sideways to a young lady in front of me at a skate park, and the regulator comes out.
Yes.
In fact, it doesn't happen.
Or a child.
People don't. Talk sideways to a child in front of me at a skate park, and it comes out.
Yeah.
But people don't do that. I'm one of the guys that shows up to the park, and people are bummed out I'm there.
Yeah.
You know?
You just got such a killjoy.
I'm a killjoy, absolutely. If your joy is
probably.
compromising the innocence of children or
Yeah.
compromising the enjoyment of skateboarding for anyone who's there, the ungifted, the overweight,
Yeah.
or women, or anyone, then you're going to hear a few screw you dudes from me.
Yeah, come on, man.
You know,
Yeah.
that's going to happen.
That's just clean living.
And yet, no, I'm not going to engage in fisticuffs. I'm
No,
going to
dude.
use my words.
Don't do it.
I will.
Don't do it.
And I'll podcast about it, but I won't say your name. And then
Right.
you'll come on the comments and you'll say your name. And then you'll blame me for putting you out on Front Street as
Yes.
if I said your name, but I didn't
Yes.
say your name. You're the one who said your name.
It's never happened before, by the way.
Poor baby man, skateboard elite.
Respect me.
I'm a man. Respect me. I can tray flip the hubba.
Oh my gosh, dude. I can try to flip the hubba. Come on. You said if I did that, I'd be in.
You guys said that if I did enough tricks, I could own the skate shop one day and I'd be mayor of town. I'm the mayor. Why did you guys vote that guy mayor?
Yeah.
Because he would hit us with a wrench if we did it.
Yes, dude, there you go. You just had such good tricks.
No, you know what? It really hardened up in the 90s when I have a lens on it myself where I went from just skating fast, going fast, grinding, like that, to like, ooh, that guy can really do tricks.
Yeah, sure.
And then also there was like being a really mean and nasty was a family value in the New York scene that I was coming up in.
Yeah.
And I also engaged in that myself.
Right.
And it was like charisma. Like you had personality and you had a persona and that you were going to be crazy and mean and unpredictable and that was what we were doing, and we were rudderless ships, man, being blown in the wind. And that gave way to some of the nastiest and craziest among us rising to the top with almost pure aggression, a little bit of skill.
Sure.
But honestly, kickflip backtail, I mean, anyone who wants it, it's there for you.
Sure.
You know?
Right.
You can do those tricks, but it was... And the media at the time, from brands to publications, seized upon that. You can look at the 90s ad material that was in Thrasher.
Yeah.
And you can really see that the media really seized on that and marketed on that image.
Yeah.
And I would say that like Trans World was offering a more surf-based, like good times type of thing, but it just didn't sell to youth like the nasty stuff.
Right.
And I don't know what to say. That's what happened.
Yeah, I think
that's the way it went down.
I think people are really drawn to these like countercultural culture activities, and I kind of wonder if the reason that skateboarding, was moved in the trajectory that it went in was because the only way, when you started skateboarding in the 80s, you immediately made space between you and the rest of the culture at large, and as the culture began to infiltrate, the only way to create the same amount of space was to move, farther and farther into the chaos and into the hedonism and into, the anti-culture, So
a weird thing happened, which was that skateboarding through the 80s was truly counterculture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were really a minority.
Yeah.
And you felt the depression and the isolation of being in this cultural minority, and there was a camaraderie and a fraternity there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s, street skating hit hard. It always existed.
Yeah, yeah.
Like street skateboarding was always done.
Sure.
But in the 90s, it hit hard.
Right.
And money really started to be made, and fashion and art began to pull from the skateboarding culture.
Yeah.
So skateboarders became important artists and important fashion trendsetters, which I don't see as a bad thing.
No.
Not, in and of.
Sure.
But it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
And with the money came this market exploration. How much can we do? How fast can we do it? How long can we do it that fast?
Sure.
And we found out it lasted like 20 years, from 90 to
2012 or something.
2005. 15 or 20 years.
Sure.
And it started to eat itself. These are cultural, and this is sociology, and I'm not a sociologist.
Sure.
So take my word for it.
Trust me.
And I'm not a doctor.
Right.
I just play one on TV.
I just played one on TV.
But as an observer while it was happening, so I was like, no, dude, skateboarding's fun and it's for everyone. So that was obviously completely revolutionary.
Yeah. You're insane.
That was a major departure. I would get like booed out of a room for that.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude.
Yeah, skateboarding's fun and it's for everyone. If it's not for kids, then it's for nobody, dude. Like, skateboarding. I had a guy point his finger in my chest and say, "Respect the gnar," because I was saying stuff like, "Yo, if you run a retail and you're serious about doing business, then don't compromise the innocence of children with the presence of pornographic material at eye level in your shop."
Crazy, dog.
You know, I wasn't like, "Don't have it."
Yeah.
I recognize that you're going to have that.
Right.
If there's freedom, there's going to be that.
Yeah.
But contextualize it to protect minors, and that was like, you got to respect the gnar. People were like, "You're going to destroy skateboarding," and I was like, wow, I must be very powerful.
Yeah, are we really that
I must
fragile?
be very, it must be very fragile if one person going, "But I thought it was for everyone."
Yeah, right.
You know, I felt like Pee Wee Herman in Pee Wee's Big Adventure when the biker gang had him, and they're like, "I say we do this to him," and you know, like, he's like, "I say we let him go." I think it's for kids too. You know.
Yeah.
They tried to slander me by calling me PBS Kids and Mr. Rogers and stuff like that.
Which honestly is kind of a compliment.
I thought it was at the time too. I got dragged aside and told, "You need to smoke weed in public, you need to be drunk in public, and you need to run over a few of these kids. Show them," basically paraphrasing, "what side you're on."
There you
I was
go.
like, dude.
That's intense, bro.
I got told that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
When I was doing brand work for a brand, I got pulled aside by the art director, and I got told straight up on behalf of the leadership of the, you know, you need to be serious about what it is to be a skateboarder. Jeez. And you lack respect for the gnar. You need to this, you need to that. And I thought, I got into skateboarding exactly so that I wouldn't have Coach Malarkey up in my grill telling me how to do what I want to do.
Right.
And if I want to share with other people how fun skateboarding is for me, and enjoy watching new skateboarders be encouraged in skateboarding, if that stokes me out, and I'm being a solid man while I'm doing it, and I'm not these nasty knife twisting jagoffs who get involved in skateboarding to get near kids and groom them and do all this terrible stuff. I'm not those guys. You know, then you should really shut your mouth and leave a guy alone. And I wasn't surprised that it didn't work out for me in that brand. They had a lot more problems than just that one, as is evidenced by their insane Coach Malarkey garbage. You know. That's garbage. That's garbage thinking. It's garbage behavior. Don't pull a guy aside. It's one thing to say, "Look, you're not a fit for our brand. Our brand is more into compromising the innocence of children and making sure we shut down the entry gate to skateboarding, than it is about opening wide the gates." The owner of that company was much wiser. He was much wiser, and he actually asked me to stay with the brand in secret. He said, "Would you stay on the brand unbeknownst to the board?"
No.
And I said, "No, that's the most Cincinnati, Ohio." You know, like, no. No, dude. No. You know, a year and a half later, they asked me if I would come back because they stopped making any money.
Crazy, dog.
And I did come back for just a few months, and after that, I started my own brand. I was like, you know what? I love doing this work. I love working in branding. I love the way that skateboarding can be a pressure release for broken people who just need, they don't need a safe space. They need a space that's adequately dangerous. That's what I love about skateboarding and why it's outlaws, because, you can get hurt. I just had two guys show up at my house the other day to skate my backyard with me. We skated for 10 minutes, 20, and they both got hurt. You know, and they're both in their 40s. You know. And they both got hurt. Of course. And I was like, man, this stuff is crazy. You know? And
that's part of the draw, man.
It is part of the draw. Because you don't know if you're going to make it. I love that. That's a good thrill. And you know what? Maybe my mom and dad will be like, "Oh, don't get hurt, Johnny." You know what? That's what boys need to do. And girls, too.
Absolutely.
I think that boys and girls are different. But I do. I think that boys and girls develop differently in many ways. But boys need that time where they're like, "I'm 13, Mom, stop combing my hair with your spit." Of course. You know, "Stop picking up my clothes. I don't want to tuck my shirt in." You know, you got to kill off your mom's control about 13 years old. And about 15 years old, you better have discovered that you need to keep your pecker dry,
Right.
and start pressing into the fear of God. Because by about 15, you can get in some real trouble.
Yeah. Right.
That's where the murders and unwanted pregnancies and VD and all that stuff start to really kick in.
Yeah. Right.
Even younger and present generations because of the Tik-Tok.
Yeah, because of the Tik-Tok, dude.
Yep.
What a great. I'm musing on how the gatekeeping is actually really effective because it creates an exclusive feel to the culture. So if you're able to reach the standard by which you would be received in a community, there's a euphoric feeling for, young adults who come up and are like, oh, I'm now gnarly enough to be part of the club, and to play to kind of that least common denominator of human nature is a really dark move, but I understand why it works and why people do it.
Well, let's address something. I like what you said because you used the word feeling and feel.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the okay. You got good with your skateboard, and now people think you're cool, and you're one of them. Great. Now do telling the truth, even when it hurts.
It's not easy. But that's not easy, though. Yeah. Yep. No, I get it.
Skateboarding is cheap.
It is.
Compared to having integrity as a human being.
Yep.
And one of the biggest problems in skateboarding is that we have traded the pursuit of integrity as a human being, which is like a lifetime value,
yep,
for acceptance by our peers based on what I call it, daring do.
Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah.
We've given up. We literally have traded our souls for the huzzah.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
Yes, right.
And that's really, man, I'll say that's problematic to me.
Yeah.
It ticks me off.
Yeah, and in that way, skateboarding is a vehicle for, good or evil. It's like a superpower, you got to decide how you're going to use it or in what way you're going to let it affect your life, because I'm just sitting here considering like, okay, well, what would need to change to make skateboarding result in real life integrity and real character development,
I think, Luke, that one of the beauties of skateboarding is that it can't. Skateboarding can't result in real life integrity.
No.
Because it's not real life. That's one of the best things about it. Yeah. It's play.
Right.
It's play. And when you professionalize it, you run a risk. It doesn't mean it's always going to happen.
Yeah.
But you run a high risk of losing the best part of it.
Yeah.
The best part about skateboarding is it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
The best part about it is it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you can do this trick.
Sure.
That's why, or that could be why it's fun. But if you have conflated that with some sense of acceptance in a tribe, some form of like serious, meaningful brotherhood, you're wrong. It is ephemeral.
Yeah.
The trick only exists in the moment you do it.
Yeah.
And the days will come, sooner or later, when you can no longer do the trick. And what will matter in those days, if you live that long, is whether you learned to tell the truth, whether you learned to love your neighbor, whether you loved your enemy, whether you looked into what's going to happen when you leave this rock.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you ask the question, like, is there any way for skateboarding to fulfill the higher developmental like thing? The thing about skateboarding is it's best when I really think this is true.
Yeah.
Skateboarding is best when it's not being asked to answer the deeper existential, philosophical, spiritual questions of life.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's when it's the best.
Yeah, even as a tool, even if like I'm thinking about, because I'm about to have a son, I'm like, I'm definitely going to take him to skate. I'm thinking about, like, okay, well, in what way can I use skateboarding to be a tool for his character development? And there are some things there, but it's really not the most effective thing. I mean, the only way that I can see it being truly effective beyond, you know, knowing like, hey, sometimes you're going to try something that's going to be too hard for you, but you can practice and get better at something, which is a good lesson to learn. But one of the the only way that I see it being incredibly effective is talking about like what we're doing on the podcast, which is considering ideas and, you know, asking people to think, you know, don't shut up and skate, think and skate, talk and skate. So in that way, it's just like a tool. It's a vehicle for the larger conversations, which are more important. And if you are looking for activities that are going to help character development, in some ways, organized sports is way more effective, truly, because there's winners and there's losers and there's rules and there's not rules, and you got to do it a certain way, you know, and you got to work really hard, you know. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
It's actually it's fascinating in that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's a double-edged sword.
Well, the extraction of life lessons that are applicable to conventional life is easier from standard sports.
Yeah.
When you're in an environment where the rules are set arbitrarily.
Yeah, right.
So when the rules are being made up as we go, you're going to have a lot of rules, and probably the majority of the rules that are going to be made up are going to be garbage.
Yeah, completely stupid.
It's going to be stinking thinking.
Yes.
You know, I got into skateboarding because I rejected fashion norms.
Right.
And what do I find as soon as skateboarding went 5 or 6 years with me?
Yeah.
That all of a sudden, I mean, it was within the first 2 years, I went to a Vision streetwear demo.
Right.
And was completely turned off by these fashion horses.
Yeah.
You know, duck facing the camera.
Right. Yeah, dude.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I thought this is so the most. I was just a kid. I was probably 1986.
Sure.
I don't think it was 87. It was like 1986. It might have been 85.
Yeah.
I went to a Vision streetwear demo and was so bummed out because everything that I loved about skateboarding was that I didn't have to be around that type of like, this is the way you dress stuff. And talk about, man,
so vain. It's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I feel comfortable in the clothes that I like to wear, you know?
Yeah.
Which is jeans and a t-shirt and some boots or some skate shoes for skating.
Right. Black on black.
I just, man, dude. So, like, I've always been up against it.
Yeah.
You know, from, like, probably day one. But, like, I mean, look what happens if you get into, you know, like, the punk rock scene.
Yeah.
You get whitelisted, you get blacklisted on nothing but fashion.
Right.
Like, it's like if your flair isn't on point.
Yeah, it's the most stupid, ridiculous. It's funny, I'm thinking about it. So I lived in Denver for a while in a house with a bunch of other dudes, and it was really
skater
really
dudes,
good.
right?
Yeah, skater dudes, and we all loved God, and we'd all been really radically impacted by our relationship with Jesus. And it's funny because when we would go skate together, some of the best sessions ever happened because I was filtering my skate experience through my Christian principles, and it actually really did a bunch of stuff, but it freed me up. I didn't need skateboarding to be anything to me besides a fun thing that we all did together and an opportunity to, you know, try hard things together and encourage each other, knowing that it was all just the most retarded, stupid, useless things. And at the same time, getting to engage with other people. You know, I have a buddy who lives in Chicago, and we used to go skate. There was an indoor park in Denver that I was affiliated with, and they had a mini ramp. Dude, the skateboarders in Denver, a lot of them were very serious, and we would just go shred the mini ramp. And every time we went, man, we would end up in this session on the mini ramp, and we would just be lighting it up. And you know, whether you were just learning to drop in or front slash or doing, you know, backside nose blunt to nollie flip out, everybody there was just revved up to be there. And it was because him and I would get up there and just be tapping our boards and encouraging people. We helped people drop in a couple times, and then somebody would come in and be just totally gnarred out and super good at skateboarding. And that was cool too, and we were revved up on that. But it was because it didn't matter to us. What mattered was the people who were there. And so as a tool, it's essentially useless, but as an activity to be filtered through vetting principles.
The thing you're describing, I'm listening to you describe this house. By the way, we're at 87 minutes.
Yeah,
so what we're going to do is we're going we're going to conclude this episode of the podcast, and then we're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And do a part 2.
Yeah.
That's going to pick right up.
Sure.
So I'm going to do that right now. So podcast ending, and we're picking up on part 2 in just a minute. I don't know. This is just the way we're doing it. So for what it's worth.
Laters.
Nice, you caught that. That's good. And we're still with you, Facebook guys. We got some really good comments in the Facebook. I got Bud Strapper said, I think it's funny how Vision Streetwear literally leaves Lou speechless, spluttering, at a loss for words. It was, oh my gosh, it was unbelievable to me, the fashion trendiness I was seeing in this. Skateboarding was this, like, because I did it alone.
Yeah.
You know, I like solo discovered slappy grinds.
Yeah.
All alone, front side and back side.
Yeah.
And I never, wow, you know, it was just absolutely more than, I mean, it was wide open to me.
Yeah.
Tic-Tacs, 360s, hill bombs.
Yeah.
I bombed the gnarliest hills, like super steep driveways straight into the garage.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely. I had pebbles in my palms. Perpetual pebble palm.
Yes.
I had like serious damage to my hands.
Yeah.
And was beside myself with happiness.
That's so sick, dude.
Super happy at what I was experiencing alone. Then I got in this like, all of a sudden it was like, buy these clothes. And kids were buying it. I had one friend, one particularly sad, miserable experience I had was, I went out to skate with a friend, and lovely kid, sweetheart, artistic, amazing kid, and we went to go skate together. We were gonna sleep at, I think, my house, and so we had dropped at the mall. We went back to the back of the parking garage where there was a piece of wood. We put the wood up. And I'm going to just save that one. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to do another recording. We're getting the podcast fired up for part 2. This thing takes a second. All right, it's part 2 of our episode with Stacey Peralta and Puking and Shidding. This is the CapmLew podcast. So we're just straight part 2 on the same video piece.
Yes.
And I don't know, probably should say the day, but I won't.
It's fine.
So I'm telling a story about how a buddy and I went to this parking garage when I was, let's see. I was barely 13.
Yeah.
And he had bought all of the Vision Streetwear stuff.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it carved out his heart.
Really?
Yeah, because like he couldn't get up on the piece of plywood that we had stacked up against one of the pillars.
Hilarious.
And I could go like, wow. I don't know.
Like
to me it felt like I was on the ceiling.
Yeah, of course. Sick. Yeah.
But I was, throwing it up there. I don't know.
It's
memories from when you're young.
Let's just let's let the magic stay. Yeah, you were probably like 8 feet high.
It wasn't a problem to me that he couldn't get up there.
Yeah.
What was a problem was he was having a meltdown.
Oh, that sucks.
He was having a This is a foggy memory.
It's okay.
So you know what?
Okay.
This young person, if you ever listen to this and you feel like you might be the person I'm talking about, I'd like to just admit to everyone, these recollections from youth can be very foggy. So I'm talking about my impressions.
Sure.
But my impression of that was that he was having a meltdown. He even did burst into tears. He was a tender-hearted young man.
Oh, poor guy.
And I was a little bit less tender-hearted. And
No.
I think it's a virtue to be tender-hearted. I really do.
True.
But his heart seemed to me to be broken
because
he had the little tiny build like biker hat, that said Vision on it, and maybe the Vision pants that said Vision down the leg.
Yeah.
He had the like the Vision shirt. It was head to toe.
Yeah.
Just everything they were selling.
Yeah.
And he couldn't ride up the piece of plywood and then ride down it.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. But the problem was that it crushed him.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, there's nothing wrong with wearing what you want to wear. And there's nothing wrong with sucking at what you're doing.
Yeah.
But being so shut down by it, it was my impression that, well, there's only one thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you suck, then suck harder.
Yeah.
Until you start to not be so bad at it, you
Yeah.
know, like, and just get in there. And if he had like happily set himself to just rolling off a curb and clacking his tail on a firecracker, or lifting the front and coming off a curb, and just did it 1,000 times that night, I'm not the guy who even back then would have like made fun of you for not doing it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Sure.
Like, that's not the way that I was about things. But I remember he was so shut down, and I remember being really turned off and really bummed out and thinking, what a bummer, man. This guy's got like no heart.
Yeah.
You know, he's got no heart.
Right.
He bought all this stuff, but he doesn't have the drive to suffer.
Sure.
You know, but I remember that time together cooled off my feeling of like, I don't want to skate with that guy, because I don't want to be around people who get mad or throw their board or cry because they can't make a trick. Yeah. You know, I was just a kid back then too, and I was as much in the dark as anyone, is probably even worse than that young man. Yeah. But
did it feel like he felt like because he had the gear, he should have been able to do the thing, and like maybe he was disappointed because he had some expectations about what was going to happen?
I honestly, I can try to imagine what was in the headspace of a young person, and I can also try and backfill it from knowing people along the way. Sure. So like maybe my, would be something like this. Yeah. That he had a lot of pressure on him because he had built up an image of being a California skateboarder in frozen tundra New York. Right. And that he got out with a guy who all I had was freaking Toughskins, you know, and the crappy Chuck Taylor shoes that were the cheapest thing in the world. I think they were like $12. Yeah. And patching the bottoms of your shoes with duct tape and getting duct tape goo on your grip tape.
Such a bummer.
Because I sucked that much at life.
Yeah, right.
I was just a scrubby little kid whose parents were not super stoked that I was doing skateboarding, and so my budget for stuff was pretty skinny. Little. Yeah. And then I guess I'm going halfway up a sheet of plywood. What's that, like 4 feet up? Well, it was like an 8-foot piece.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. It was flexy.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I could go up it and I could come down it.
That's pretty sick, though.
I was not like an athletic skateboarder. I'm not an athletically gifted person. Sure. But I loved the motion. Yeah. And I related well to getting up on the wave and coming down. I loved that. Yeah. I could hit the lip on a half pipe. I could hit the lip on a quarter pipe. Hit it authoritatively. With authority. Yeah, right. I could do that, and that was so important to me. Yeah. You know, just that was so good. Yeah. Those moments of hitting that lip. Oh, you know, yeah. Like getting there and hit it. Yeah. And it makes me think of like Jay Adams. Like there's some skating with Jay Adams, pretty well-known footage of him skating a pool, and he's pretty haggard. Yeah. And boy, when he hit the lip, you know, he really meant every time he just crushed the lip of that pool. So sick. Front side, back side. Yeah. These were not scratchers. They weren't scrapers. These were just crust busting grinds. Yes, yes. And even if it was a 2-foot long grind, it was like full on at the lip. Right. That seasoned me, and I'm a kinder, gentler skateboarder now. Sure. I don't like taking tumbles. I was absolutely terrified of Pulaski Pool in New York. In Poughkeepsie, New York, there's a pool. It's not the famous Pulaski Pool. Yeah. This thing had an enormous deep end, and I only got to skate Pulaski when there was ice and water in the bottom of it. Of course. And so we had guys there who would go up on that big wall. I honestly think it was 20 feet deep. Seriously? I do. Holy shit. It was probably 15 feet deep.
But that might as well.
It had numbers on it, but I don't remember.
So deep.
The shallow end was 6 feet deep or like that.
Was it all transition?
It was all transition. The shallow end was really tight transition. Yeah. And the deep end was so far beyond, I couldn't get my board soaked. Yeah. Because I didn't have another board. Yeah. And my boards were already wailed on. Yeah, of course. I went there with some really good guys.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really supposed to be in Poughkeepsie.
Sure.
I was like a 13, 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I watched one guy, Mike Connolly, Con Man. He was cutting around the water in the bottom, which was enormous.
Yes.
Hitting up that 15-foot wall. It wasn't 12. It was 15 feet deep.
Yeah.
And popping ollies on that wall.
That's nuts,
and just under under the. It didn't have coping, by the way. It had a metal edge, return system on it.
Sure.
But popping ollies.
Yeah.
And I think I saw him grind on that metal edge.
That's nuts, dude.
Just a toucher. Just a toucher.
Yeah.
But it was my heart dropped out just watching him go up that from the shallow end.
Of course.
But what I found was on the shallow end, I could really get up on those walls.
That's sick.
I really loved, and I fell in love with the shallow end of pools.
Yeah.
Quick, super tight transition, like 2 foot transitions into like a 4-foot high carve.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, this I can relate to.
Yes.
Here, I can step off my board and it doesn't go into the freaking Titanic, oceanic iceberg.
Of course.
I don't lose my skateboard deck. I'm not cold and wet for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I can do this. And we were going to get thrown out any second or arrested by cops.
Of course, right.
And so it was a really good memory maker for me because I found something I could get. And when I went to Powell in Delaware, Ohio, it's a much smaller pool. I mean, it's made for skating.
Yes.
Team Payne, great park.
Yeah.
And
that's a Team Payne?
one of the few parks with moguls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good little stuff in it.
Yeah.
And just this little mogul run in it, and I'm like, that is just the dopest.
Yes.
And in the shallow end of that pool, I would cut the deep end, skip the giant love seat,
of course,
and come out in the shallow and hit a frontside grind in the shallow end.
So sick.
On that right side when you're coming out, it's real tall.
You did that?
Yes.
That's nuts, dude.
I did it again and again and
That's
again.
gnarly,
that was my line.
Yeah, that's sick.
I loved that on the shallow end. And no, I don't carve around the stairs usually. I'm not like my buddies who can switch carve around the stairs and switch carve.
Yeah.
That one doesn't just have it doesn't have a love seat. It's got a cutaway.
Yeah, it's like it's gnarly.
But it's not called a love seat. It's called something else.
I thought it's like a cake, and then there's like a 2-step cake next to it. It's kind of longer. Is that correct? I can't remember.
In the deep end of it, it's got one of those. It's not a love seat that sticks out.
Yeah. Oh, it's like a cut in.
It's cut in. I forgot what they're called. It's got a 3-step cake in the shallow end.
Yeah. I thought it's long too. Like if you were to carve over that, you'd really have to give it what for?
Oh, the boys all carved it.
Yeah.
But I just stuck to my shallow end, almost a wall ride.
Of course.
And I love the shallow end. I love the tightest part of the shallow end.
Yeah.
Getting up on something like that meant something to me.
Yeah.
That I didn't have to get a torn ACL to do. You know?
Right.
And I mean, even by then I was in my 30s. I'm a low talent skateboarder.
Sure.
And but this question that was governing our conversation in the last podcast, something about how can skateboarding teach us the deeper lessons of life?
Yeah.
How can we make skateboarding more meaningful?
Yeah.
My opinion as of today, and we'll continue about this around,
right.
is that no. The beauty of skateboarding is it can't.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to.
Right. It's like water. It just forms to whatever cup it's in. Like it really does. It forms to the guiding principles that you already have. That's why it bothers me so much to watch people so spun out about it, dude. Because I'm like, man, there is a lot of freedom to be had to do some exploration into some other areas in your life. And I find that skateboarding is tremendously more enjoyable when I know that it's not my end-all be-all and I have other things that are important.
It's best when it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I contend this.
Yes.
I am willing to contend for the case.
Yeah.
Nay, the cause.
The cause.
That skateboarding doesn't matter, and that's what makes it so important.
Yeah. Yeah, which is sick, dude. We just pissed everybody off. It's beautiful.
Oh, you're going to cut that into some short?
Yes, I will,
It's going to draw them like flies.
Yeah, they're like, bro, you guys can't even kickflip.
I just looked back in my Facebook feed, and I was kickflipping like 3 years ago.
I know, dude. I know, dude. I know.
I don't know why I was doing that.
Dude, I kickflipped in the skybox on the top of the Sears Tower in Chicago, which, by the way, just stepping out into that thing is one of the most terrifying things I've ever done in my life. It was all peer pressure. I'm like ashamed that I did it. There were so many people watching, dude. We had our skateboards, and the lady's like, "Oh, you want to do a kickflip?" And when she said that, there's like 50 people, and it all went quiet, and they all just stared at me. I was like, "I guess, yeah, hand it over." You know, like I land at like 1 out of every 10. You know, like it was so funny.
You land way more than 1 out of every 10.
We'll see how it goes.
Well,
dude.
Depending on how I want to define landing.
Yeah, landing, right.
Because everything counts to me. Close enough is better than good enough.
Yes, close enough is better than good enough.
Yeah, so...
When it doesn't matter, dude. It's so true.
Skateboarding is best when it doesn't matter. And that's what makes it so important. That's what makes it so important.
Yeah, talk about its importance in that context.
Well, play is how children learn.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only two kinds of people. That's kids and big kids.
Yes.
And human beings require play lifelong.
Yeah.
We need it. Without play, our minds die.
Yeah.
And one of the sad things about human nature, whatever this deal is we continually fall into a trap that robs us of the innocence of play.
Yeah.
You know, baseball, America's pastime.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, that's a bold statement. Go ahead.
Well, they used to mean playing baseball is America's pastime.
Yeah.
Americans used to play baseball.
Yeah.
You could go all over America and you could see communities come out after work and there'd be sandlot games going on all over America. Kids hitting the ball.
Yeah.
Grown-ups throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Playing catch, getting the skills.
Yeah.
Doing the thing.
Right.
And then, you know, and of course it's very exciting, and I think it's a good thing that there were leagues and that there were important games, but the big money comes in. And now, football. Mm-hmm. It was not America's pastime, right?
Yeah.
Football is a rough sport, and it was a hero sport.
Yeah.
But like, whoa. I mean, it is a bone-crushing, freaking gladiatorial saga.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know what's happening to these pro football athletes, but boy, oh boy, they're giving their entire lives away.
Literally.
You know?
Yeah. The traumatic brain injury.
Dude, are these things on?
Mine is.
Yeah, they are.
I think we're good.
It says recording through microphone now. I don't even know why it says that. I'm just gonna
Hush
shush.
now.
It's
Hush
fine.
now.
Yeah, but the NFL players right now are in like a fight for their lives because the traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
What is it?
CTE.
Yeah, chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Yeah.
And then the leagues are fighting against being robustly supportive of these gladiatorial heroes who played out the hero's journey and battered and bruised themselves for not actually a real princess.
Yeah.
And fulfilled for, you know, vicariously, people were fulfilled through them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are high and dry to a degree that is absolutely astounding. Now it's astounding, and it's tragic.
Yeah.
And it's a field of broken dreams. So you got baseball, you got football, you know, they're gonna finish doing it with soccer. Basketball is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And skateboarding is following in suit. We've got, you know, Olympics, and we've got X Games turned into, I think Street League stole the thunder from the X Games.
Is X Games still a thing?
I think so. I don't know.
I know. I don't either.
I don't know who owns what anymore.
It's all just a...
But there's all sorts of chicanery going on.
Right.
But skateboarding is still a sandlot thing. I can still get on my skateboard today. I can get on my skateboard and ride down my driveway and go down and enjoy 100 curb cuts on the way to the coffee shop, probably 15.
Yeah.
And I can fart around in a back parking lot, and I can come back, and and maybe I'll get razzed a couple times or get booed.
Yeah.
Maybe I
can
can get publicly booed by some more of the cool guys, skater guys. That's
or flipped off. Yeah.
Booed or flipped off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
That's what you get. So,
But this thing about play is really interesting to me. You know, the fact that it's best when it's not important, because then you're playing, and the play is what drives its importance. That's an interesting take. I tend to agree with you.
Well, if skateboarding loses, and it will.
Yeah. Has it already?
Oh, certainly. I mean, but not for me if I decide it hasn't.
Right. Which is the cool part about it, because it's so open and wide. You know, if you're brave enough to face the onslaught of public scrutiny and, you know, internet shame.
Blah.
You know?
Blah.
Yeah. Straight up.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Being publicly shamed. This is another thing that changed things. In the last podcast, you asked a question like, "What changed it?" And I thought, well, we're packed closer together because there's more of us, and also our degree of access to one another is insane because this posting on social media that we do, I've lost the ability to know how to post on social media. Yeah. I had a driving impetus, a driving message in my brand work, which was a lot of what we're doing here.
Sure.
Is that skateboarding is for kids and big kids only.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves in a time where you can be publicly shamed extremely easy.
Yeah.
It is extremely easy to publicly shame someone, and the effects of public shaming are profoundly deep.
Yeah.
That's the same word twice.
Well,
detrimental.
Profoundly detrimental.
They are.
I like it. No, it is.
It is.
It is.
The effects of public shaming are profoundly detrimental. Much more. I mean, the ease with which we can publicly shame someone.
Yeah.
Just calling someone a kook.
Yeah.
Which is a huge, huge deal to me.
Yeah.
You call someone a kook, you just disowned them from like the family of skateboarding.
Right.
You know, everyone who cares about your approval is going to toe that line, and that person will be a kook to them.
Right.
They won't even know why. They don't have to. And watching how cheaply we sell people into labels like kook.
Kookdom. Yeah.
That is very dark.
Yeah.
That is a very dark thing.
Yeah.
So you got this thing that happens so easily, public shaming, that has these huge impacts on people's lives.
Right.
And I don't know, dude. It used to be that someone would pick on you and you'd scrap.
Yeah.
But you can't do that, because right now anyone can pick on you. You can be you could go to jail 150 times.
I know.
You know, and having thicker skin is not the answer. It's not. You've got to find a deeper foundation in your life. My foundation is on Christ. I found Jesus. He found me. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. Yeah. Don't worry about it. But I got snatched up by the good news that God is love. He loves me.
Yeah.
Jesus is the proof positive. This is well evidenced. This is not anti-intellectual. There's no blindness to this faith. I'm living in response to evidences that have compelled me to the conclusion that within human history, Jesus Christ was crucified and resurrected, and that means it doesn't matter what someone else thinks about me or says about me, no matter how many opportunities I lose in this world. Even if my life is squeezed into a tiny box through the terrible behavior of other people and their hateful speech, I am still loved by the God who created, made me for his own pleasure. Yeah. The purpose of my life is that he likes me. He likes me, and he loves me, and he's going to receive me when I finally cast off this old carcass. I'm gonna see his face. Yeah. That's where my roots are. So swing away, Merrill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's not a common thing.
No.
It's not. And I understand that for a lot of people, you know, it seems mildly inconvenient to have a deep religious conversion today. You know? So we wanted to like kind of ease into some of that by just speaking to the reason of, does anyone notice how vapid, empty, vacuous, vain, smoky mist that blows away all the stuff is that we value so highly as a culture, a community, a people?
Yeah.
Like, feels a lot like building your house on the sand.
Huh.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it makes me go, because, I think that play is really important. And I think that when we talk about that, we're really talking about more important things.
Absolutely.
We're talking about more transcendent realities. You have to have a deeper a base in your life that transcends the approval of other people and their affirmation of your membership in their community. Otherwise, you will be led by the nose into all manner of mayhem by leaders who are in bad faith with the people they lead. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Geez, that escalated quickly.
I liked it, dude. No, it's very true. I was thinking the only way for skateboarding to truly be play, for it to really reach its full potential, is to have some sort of foundation that matters to you more than skateboarding. There's
a saying, Luke.
God.
You do your work first.
Yes.
Then you play.
Yeah, you work hard and then you play hard.
One of the biggest problems with skateboarding, in my experience, is that skateboarding puts play first.
Yeah.
And it gives you an identity as a player.
Yeah.
This happens in all of the play sports.
Yes.
You know, I'm a basketball player. So like, it's basketball, and then, you know, if you win, it's cocaine and loose women. You know, I'm not joking around, dude.
No, it's true.
I'm talking about Magic Johnson.
No, it's true.
You know, I'm talking about like generations, like 3 generations of people, you know, or it's like football. It's like, I remember in the earlier 2000s, the Cincinnati Bengals was a bunch of party guys.
Yeah.
You know, and they were on some, I don't know, rapper lifestyle deal.
Yeah.
And some of them just straight up died.
Yep. Or went to prison.
Or
doing crazy shit.
Died or got let off the hook because they were a Cincinnati Bengal. And it was, you know, I mean, that's not just toxic, man. That's bogus.
Yeah.
That's not, no. But doing your work first means step 1 for doing your work. Consider your mortality. Consider it daily. Consider it deeply. Consider your mortality. And consider your life's pursuits in view of your mortality.
Yeah.
What? It's solid. Everybody is really going to die.
Yeah, come on now. Right.
Everyone is going to die. It's the one thing we are all going to go through. So why not do some effort in your life to be prepared?
Yeah.
You know, I know. You like it in France.
Here we go.
They sit around in cafes with a cigarette drooping from their lip as they sip bitter black coffee and talking about these things, you know, forever. And they fight with each other over all these philosophical things.
Yeah.
And they think we're idiots.
Well,
because we just go from Big Mac to, you know,
colon cancer.
We just go from Big Mac to colon cancer.
Dude, it's so true.
And they think Americans are stupid because we just pile the food in our mouths and we don't even, you know, and listen, don't get me wrong, okay? The French are horrible.
Dude, and also I've had a Big Mac and they're so good. You know what I mean? They really are delicious. Yeah, come on. We're not haters. Come on.
So, for those of you who don't know, I have a university degree in speaking French. It's actually was useful last weekend.
Oh, it was.
There was a
cool.
French guy At the skate park, we chatted.
Yes.
But
in English.
I did switch to English.
Yeah.
I did, and he definitely didn't mind.
Yeah.
But
you know,
the thing is
yeah,
that the French look down on us because we don't spend quality time addressing the things that ought to matter the most.
Yeah.
And they have a high capacity within their culture to disagree about those things and still be friends.
Yeah.
I'm not exalting the French as a great example of humanity. I have a lot more love for the French people than I'm letting on in this. But it is the deeper existential love of common creator, a common savior.
Sure.
It's not culture worship.
But in this aspect, I really like them a lot. You know, finally, let's just talk about it. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about it.
Please, can we just talk about it? That's how I feel a lot of times. I sometimes feel like I'm losing my mind because I see things that are really important. I just want to discuss them, and everybody else gives me like a disgusted look when you bring it up.
Well, because it brings you down.
Yeah.
It'll really bring you down to think about your mortality. It's really some step one. This is ground level, and it can take up a couple of years to really consider your mortality, because when a person is well considered in regard to our mortality, skateboarding begins to come into a right focus.
Yeah, it really does.
It's not hashtag thank you skateboarding. Skateboarding can't save your life. It didn't save your life, and it can't save your life. And if you're doing the skateboarding and partying and all this garbage darkness that is being done with Thrasher magazine over the generations, it's going to shorten your life.
Yeah.
And it's going to rob your life of the qualities that your life really needs to have.
Yes.
If you do what your overlords in the corporate advertisements have been telling you to do, whether it's party like Nija or party like Dwayne, your life's going to be shortened and cheapened. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And I always, question authority. I didn't find those authorities to be sufficient to my reliance.
Yeah.
I found an authority who is the Son of Man with the holes in his hands, the man from Galilee. That's the guy who won me as Tik-Tok.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I follow Jesus. And
True.
I know that not everyone is going to like that. Not everyone is going to do that. And that makes me sad. But everyone has the right to have their own shot at this. Sure. Everybody ought to consider these things very seriously.
Yeah.
And make themselves aware of what has happened in history and what it means for you.
Yeah.
You may discover this and find it historically reliable. You may find it compelling in evidence and still turn away.
Yeah.
And you have that right. You have the right to make the decision. But making skateboarding so important in your life that you would make fun of a child or yell at a child because they were in your way?
I know.
A man in his 30s or his 40s yelling at a child for being in his way because he didn't get a chance to do his trick? This is badly out of focus. Now, this doesn't fit probably most of our listenership.
Yeah.
But I know that it fits their community.
Yeah.
And we've got some work to do.
Yeah, and maybe the better question is, what about a man who would watch that happen at his local skate park and not say anything because he's just there to skate and this is his time and he doesn't want to be bothered to...
Man, I watched a Tik-Tok today.
A Tik-Tok?
There's a lady. She's very interesting. She's living in Turkey, and
she was the one you sent me.
She was a pro roller skater.
Yeah,
quads.
Yeah,
she was a quadranaut.
A quadranaut.
Just made that
beautiful.
Thanks,
beautiful.
Thank you.
Gosh.
And this former quadranaut was saying that she knew she had to address it sometime because her Tik-Tok isn't about that.
Mm-hmm.
But she was big on Instagram, and she was big on this and some Northwest and communities and building communities. And then she talked about the cattiness, and she talked about the public shaming, the character assassination, and stalking
threats.
and assault and death threats.
Yeah.
She got, and I actually left a comment, which I don't like coming up over the radar too often.
Sure.
And I mean, I like commenting on old man stuff where a guy is kick flipping, and it's a real real milestone for him in his life. And I love seeing people do stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I actually replied to this quadranaut because I've experienced that in skateboarding myself.
Yeah.
And it's highly damaging.
Yes.
Like I just explained to you why I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay. That it really is fine. But oof-ta.
Yeah.
Like, it is real. Like, yeah, you're going to really have that. That is going to be part of your life if you're the guy who says, hey, man, take it easy on the kids, man. Lighten up.
Yeah.
You're just playing with useless wooden toys. I mean, it's in the name of the video that we watched. Useless wooden toys.
I know.
You know, like, so you might, I mean, I don't know what your personality's like, but I do find that a lot of men who are skateboarders that I've known a lot of men skateboarders. Cowards. Real wussies.
Yeah.
Really, really silly, selfish cowards.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are gonna be like, you think I'm a coward?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Check your life.
Yeah. Check how the shoe fits,
if you watch people be publicly shamed,
yeah,
and you stood by and continued to support that, or you even gave affirmation to it, yeah, you're a total coward.
Yeah.
Well, I love you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a coward too in different ways.
Yeah.
Maybe there are differences. Maybe to some extent, I may have charged the gates and suffered the death. Because anytime you confront your cowardice, you die. Huge parts of you get cut off in the battle of fighting cowardice.
Yeah.
It is a death.
Yeah.
When you engage your cowardice, and you know what's the right thing to do, you really don't want to do it. You fear the reaper.
Yeah.
You know, but you do it because you knew it was right.
Yeah.
You know, this is where Jesus in Matthew 7 says, many will come to me in that day and say, Lord, Lord, didn't we do? And then lists all these things that religious people do.
Yeah.
Right? And he says, get away from me, I never knew you.
Yikes.
And then he says, that's what's going to be like if you don't put into practice the things I told you. Well, putting into practice the things that are true, that Jesus told us, is going to kill you. It's going to kill off parts of you that this world tells you are really, really important. Bad memories from your childhood are going to tell you that these are really, really important things.
Yeah.
You can't lose that. Like the acceptance of your friends. You can't go against the grain.
Yeah.
You can't decide to stop living from what you experienced and live from what's true instead. You know, it's like you're going to have to take the pill and die.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Right.
But it's definitely painful.
Yeah.
And we've already gone beyond the things I've lived up to in any sense of fullness.
Sure.
To some degree. Maybe not. Maybe in some way I have put down mileage in this stuff. And maybe it's something in my life you could look at me and go, I could listen to that guy. But I'm not asking you to. Look at the guy who got the holes in his hands and his feet and in his side for you.
Yeah.
Look at the guy who wore the crown of thorns. And you know what? If he went through it and he called you to it, he can get you through it too. You know?
It was almost like a poem.
And I didn't even know it.
Oh my gosh, stop, dude.
So we're gonna shut down this second half of our time together. And we're gonna head to our families, but we've had a terrific time this week. This week kicked off. We missed our Tuesday recording session because I had the blessing of a short, but
robust.
Yes,
robust
stomach flu, and that was fun.
Yes.
In the last episode, we talked about the Stacey Peralta interview that was on the. We said what it was on there. It's a YouTube.
Fine.
It's pretty good.
You'll find it.
We'll get to where we start posting things up in the descriptions and whatnot. There is no link in the description. We're just not there yet.
I know, it's hard, man.
I'm going to take these last couple minutes to just let everyone know that we get boards from Life Skateboards.
Oh, yeah.
We love Bud Stratford over at Zeppelin. We don't have a beard products sponsor yet.
If only.
We would love to experience support anything from dog toys for geriatric bulldogs to all that. We do have we're going to do a product review on Slappy trucks coming up.
Yes.
We also would like it if you guys would support us on the podcast because, dear Dad, please send money. It seems like we're doing pretty well with just 2 iPads or iPhones and an iPad.
Yeah.
And some cheap lav mics, but we would like to step up the game.
Yeah.
And do more of this later.
Yes.
So, thank you for being here for what it's worth. This was CapmLew.
I'm Luke. Laters.
I love how Luke says laters at the end.
Laters.
I do.
It's my catchphrase.
One of these days I will have to do a solo without Luke, and I'm going to be lost.
Oh.
I like it, though.
Oh.
This is good.
It is.
We're going to go have dinners with our families and do some of the stuff that is the most important.
Let me say it lavalier.
Lavalier.
These
Right there.
These are the deleted scenes that won't ever be deleted.
Our YouTube is going to be full of these little moments.
I know, it's sick. I
Wow.
like it. I like it. Uh-huh.
Wow.
When you die, I can go back and look through them.
Just cry. It'd be great if I didn't die soon.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Those two are banked. I'm going to share those later today, or tonight, or tomorrow.
Yes.
And you'll have an episode that's 90 minutes, and you'll have an episode that's 30 minutes up there for your listening enjoyments.
Yes.
And you can hear us on Apple, Spotify, the Google thing. Weird fact. Little late in the game to ask this, but when we go into our stats, this is weird.
Oh, yeah, the other.
It's like shows like what platforms on a circle graph people are hearing us on.
Yeah.
And it's like Apple has a bit of the pie graph, and Spotify has a large part of the... I'm surprised that our listeners are using Spotify. Because I'm not Spotify. They're using Podbean.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Spotify, Apple, and Podbean. Those are there, but a huge portion of it is other.
Yeah, it's strange.
I mean, there's a slice that's like Google Chrome, but there's other.
It's like 35% or something.
Yeah.
Like, are people casting to their TVs?
What are you guys using to listen to us? I don't understand.
Doing?
Or does it count? Does it know that we're simulcasting to Facebook? Is it?
Dude,
have they integrated it? Are they? They're in my mind. I don't know. I don't know. But
yeah, it's very strange.
Very strange, and we're tired of talking to Podbean. They don't ever call us back.
Dude, they don't. I have sent multiple emails.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They're not able to care, which is the same exact thing as not caring when you're on this end of the equation. It's sufficient. It does the job. We're here for now, but I have a feeling that there are better services out there, and we're going to shop around, but probably not this year. It's best to just stay where we're at.
Yeah.
And Eric Sanders, I think you got it. Ham radio.
Yes, dude. Ham radio.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, that's
well,
hilarious.
We have love for the block, and that includes all of you. And crack your Bibles. We'll catch you on the flip side. For what it's worth, CapmLew.
Laters.